Well, it's time to start doing something out here. I gotta take that and hook onto that disc and plow what we refer to as turn rows. There's a lot of folks are going to know them as turn rows. Some people know them as end rows. Basically, it's the strip alongside the field that we don't plant, don't do anything with. We just plow it flat. There's a lot of folks have asked me in the past why we don't plow our turn rows, or end rows as they call them, and there are guys that do plant their end rows around here, but we've always found the ground's hard. We turn on it, so we tear up a lot of the crop. You really don't make that much off of it. So for us, it's just easier to plow it up and use it as a turn row or somewhere to drive your pickup on. So hope that answers that for those that were wondering. But yeah, let's get that thing fired up and get hooked onto that disc. Also, I need to move that back across to the other side. Probably going to take the lister with it when I go. That one will get moved in the next few days. And where's it at? Back over beside that spray rig over there. I got to haul the shredder back across. Bush hog, for those of you in other parts of the world. Technical terms of rotary mower if you want to get technical with it. But yeah, we call them a shredder down here in West Texas. So I got to move that back across as well, because things are starting to green up. And eventually the grass and the weeds are going to start growing, and I'm going to need that thing. So for now, get that thing fired off, because I got some plowing to do. Anybody that farms can attest to this. It's not a nice surprise when the seat looks aired up and you sit and it goes all the way to the floor. But yeah, we'll see what this thing will do. It just starts every time. That one gives me fits. This one I don't have to do anything to. Hit the key, it'll bust right off. That one, you have to treat it like a sound guard. You got to shake the wheel, otherwise it won't start. And I don't know why it does that. It's a 8235R IVT ILS. It's a good tractor. I've replaced all the hydraulic filters on it multiple times, done everything that I can do to service it, but you still got to shake the wheel to get it to start. It identifies as a sound guard, I guess. But let's get this stalk cutter off the back end so I can get hooked up to that tandem. When it comes to unhooking this thing, it is a breeze, mainly due to that hydraulic top link right there. You can see the top end moving around. That thing makes unhooking a quick hitch so much easier. Also makes leveling your plow out in the field a lot easier too. But there's that. Inch her up a little bit. Get that out of my way, because I'm going to be using that drawbar down there pulling that tandem. And away we go. However, first things first, I need diesel. Sitting here waiting on that. Some of y'all may be wondering what that is. That is a 6700 high cycle. That is an old John Deere spray rig. It's not the first design of self-propelled spray rig they came out with, but it's not far off. And me and that rig in particular have a hate-hate relationship. I hate it, it hates me. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of any of the 6700s, and the sad thing is, we have two. One, that one. Second one is the newer of the two. We have the two options. The one right in front of me is what they call a V-tank. It's got a big belly tank on it. The one over there is a T-tank. It's got a lot more clearance underneath it. The one with the T-tank is the newer one. It is a little nicer, probably because it's newer, doesn't have as many hours on it, but it is a nicer rig. This one, I haven't used it since we had it fixed. We had it at our local John Deere dealer for probably 6 months. They went through it. We had the boom redone, all the hydraulic system redone, everything updated on it, because it's got a hydrostat, it's got a hydraulic pump. That's what drives the machine through the field. That lasted half a season, and then the hydrostat went out again, something else. I mean, it was one thing after another. I think we finally have everything fixed. However, I didn't run it last year because I didn't want to find out. So I just ran the newer of the two all last year. But we're going to get this thing up and going again this year, because, I mean, it is nice as spread out as we are to have two. You can leave one here on this yard, do this farm, and then leave the other one on the other side. And you're not roading them back and forth the 15 to 20 miles between farms. So we're probably going to probably going to do that this year, and I'm not looking forward to it. Like I said, that machine and me have a long sordid history, and we don't see eye to eye. So, but from the look of things, I've got to air 2 of the tires up. I'll probably end up having to take one of the front tires off and carry it in and get them to reseat the bead, because these front tires always go flat and they come off the bead and I can never get the thing seated, so I'll probably have to do that. But other than that, it's just put the nozzles back on it, reconnect the hoses, and hope everything still works. I don't know. As y'all can tell back there, there's really not much going on. Just making sure I'm not disking up rows that I've already bedded up, and making sure I don't hit anything else, and that's it. And all we're doing here is just plowing out what little bit of weed pressures growing on the turn rows and smoothing them up, getting rid of old ruts and stuff that are on them from last year. That's all this thing does. And that's all this disc gets used for. It's literally just a turn row plow. It's a little small for trying to use on our operation, so we've kind of just relegated it to turn row duties. And it works great, especially when things are dry like they have been the last few years. This thing will, it doesn't need to cut in but just a couple of inches, just enough to cut the top layer of stuff and kind of smooth things out. So even when it's dry, this whole thing will take the ground and smooth everything out. So that I'm going to be making laps around this field and cleaning up the rest of my turn rows on my dry land and on my irrigated, and then we'll be on to the next task for today. Okay, well, I got the turn rows plowed up as good as they're going to get. So here in the 8R, I was letting the cab air out for a little bit. This thing had a mouse in it a year and a half, 2 years ago, but it still smells mousy in here. So I let this thing air out for a while if it's been sitting. So either way, let's see if we can get this thing cranked up. And where are we at on fuel? I need diesel in here too. Like I said, unless you shake that wheel, this thing, it'll just, it builds up so much hydraulic pressure, it just bogs down and it will not start. Don't know why, but it does it every time. It's done that since we bought this thing. So I'm gonna ease my way up to the diesel tank in front of me, splash a little go-go juice in this tractor, and get on down the road.
Okay, so I'm going to do y'all a favor and speed this up a little bit. This is essentially a 20-minute drive from one side of the Canyon Horry Farm to the other side of the canyon. One thing you'll notice here is I do drive in the middle of these FM roads. Our bar discs are flat enough, however, you can scoot over and let cars go by. But, most of our toolbars are 28-foot wide fixed toolbars. They don't fold, so yeah, we take up quite a bit of the road when we're moving from farm to farm.
Now this is the sketchy part. This is coming up on the edge of the canyon. It can get a little hair-raising at times when you can't see what's coming up the hill. The other side of the canyon where I'm going to go out at, when you're coming down that side, that's probably the worst one. But yeah, for those that don't know, I farm on the edge of the Llano Estacado Escarpment, or as all of us locals call it, the Caprock. I'm in the southern part of the Panhandle, so yeah, to get between farms, we have to cross this canyon. And this part of the canyon is what's known as Blanco Canyon. If you notice the white cleachy rock on the sides of the roads and kind of that white rock sticking out of the faces of the canyon edge there, that's kind of where it got its name from. Blanco being the Spanish term for white. Blanco Canyon actually holds a little bit of historical significance for the history nerds out there. Blanco Canyon was the site of several battles between Colonel Randolph Mackenzie and Quanah Parker during the Indian Wars in the late 1800s. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a historical significance to it, but it's still not fun crossing either way you go. But I've got a couple of little blind hills that you can't really see what's coming up them, and then after you get across that, I've got a little bit of flat ground. It's not too bad when you get in the bottom, but kind of going down and coming up, it gets a little fun. Speaking of, I can see one coming here, so I'm gonna get off of here and pay attention to what I'm doing.
Okay, like I said, this is probably the sketchiest part of the whole trip, is coming out of the cap on this side. If we're lucky enough to have somebody helping us move, we can send them to the top with hazards on. They can flag people down and let them know that there is a tractor coming, but 9 times out of 10, I'm doing this by myself.
That's 20 minutes down the drain, but is what it is. I got to get this thing across. I'm going to put the lister kind of right here. It technically doesn't go here, but that's where I'm going to put it. The lister actually goes hold between the planter and the hammy, but those cages that I've got right there, I need to put on the back of the rod weeder there, because this tractor is going to be pulling that rod weeder in front of the planter. I still need to go get the other tractor from over there. I'm going to hook like I said, I'm going to hook the shredder. It kills me to say this for those that believe this term is what it actually is, but bush hog. The rotary mower. I'm going to hook that up to that 6R and bring it back across, and then it's going to get hooked onto the planter there, so I can go through it and rebuild the metering units and make sure it's ready to go. With that, I'm going to unhook and see if I can rustle up a ride to at least go get my pickup. I probably won't move the 6R today. I do need to go get my pickup though, and then when I get back, I'll probably hook this thing to that rod weeder and start going through it, making sure everything's good and putting a few new parts on it. Well, it's fun time. I've got to replace 3 of the front sweeps and all of the busters on the back of this rod weeder. Oh, and I say fun. Anybody that's ever worked on plows knows I don't mean fun. But I'm not going to bore y'all with me actually putting the parts on. I will give you a breakdown, because this isn't quite as easy as all the other guys up north that has a little wrench that goes in there and then you just take a hammer and knock it off. No, these you actually... They're actually bolted on. You have to actually use an impact on them. But yeah, these are known as the buster points. They build the beds back up. A lot of guys will use these just to build the beds out there in their field instead of using the single disc lister that we do. We only use these on the back of cultivators to kind of help reshape the beds once we've ran through them and knocked dirt off of them, which this rod weeder will knock dirt off of them. For those that are not familiar with this type of rod weeder, you have a regular, what we would call cultivator sweep in the front that goes in the bottom of the furrow and gets anything in the bottoms. The rod runs about midway up of the furrow and it is spinning through the dirt, and it will catch any of the roots of the weeds that are growing and basically cut the roots off. And that rod goes the full length. It's driven by a hydraulic motor right there. But the busters are on the back end. They kind of help reform the beds. And then we have what's known as dikers, or paddle dikers, behind it. And the paddle dikers will literally sit there and just build up dirt on one side and make a little dam. And when it gets enough dirt, it flips and the next one starts catching dirt. They just build little dams in between the rows. The off rows, we don't have them on every single row. What we call the hard middles, or where the gauge wheel tires and the tractor tire runs, don't have paddle dikers. The soft middles, or the off middles, whatever you want to call them, they have the paddle dikers. I also need to put those cages on here. Those will help firm up the top of the beds once we run this across everything. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of running a rod weeder, which is why this thing's kind of in the shape it's in and I need to rebuild it. But we're going to run it this year just to see what it'll do and hopefully save a little bit of money on spraying chemicals. So yeah, I've got to replace all of the busters on the back and 3 of my sweeps in the front. I've got that one's broke, that one ain't good, and that one's completely missing. So I got to get those replaced. Well, I'm going to go ahead and apologize. I filmed every bit of putting this top link on here, and there was some shenanigans. But yeah, I filmed every bit of it only to realize that my mic, that thing, wasn't synced up. So no audio other than the sound of wind. Welcome to West Texas, you know. But yeah, I've already got the old mechanical top link in the bed of the pickup, and the hydraulic top link is hooked up. So yeah, the biggest shenanigans I had was the hoses kept popping out. Couldn't figure that out. Ended up, because I was gonna hook the hoses up and, you know, pin it back here, let it dangle down there, hook the hoses up and extend that rod out a little bit. That would be easier to hook up to this. And the hoses kept popping out, so I ended up just lifting this up with one hand and shoving this backwards with my knee, because I had it backed up next to the plow. That way it couldn't just drop off. So I was controlling this with my other hand and my knee, and got it in far enough, got the pin in there, and Then for some reason the hoses decided to stay in place, and it works just fine now. I've already got it hooked back up to the rod weeder. So yeah, hydraulic top link is now in. I've wanted that for years. Okay, as far as everything else goes, I'm still at the same point I was the other day. I've got the cages ready to go on. I know I've got 2 cages, the bearings are out, I'm gonna have to replace those, and I've got 1 diker that's got the bearings out on it. I've got to replace those. That's not that big a deal. I can have this knocked out in less than an hour. It's simple. Well, minus the bearings. The bearings will be what it's gonna be. They're probably gonna fight me because they're all rusted in place. But everything else is ready to go. And then of course I've got to hook the hoses back up to the tractor. I've already had it hooked up once and tested the rod, so I know the hydraulic motor, everything works there, everything's good there. I just need to hook the hoses back into the tractor itself. One thing I do need to do to this top link is replace these hoses. You can see they're kind of cracked and kind of rubber's busting or flaking off of them. Those need to get replaced, and I want to replace them with a little bit longer ones because I want to take them from port number 1 up to port number 4. On your center console, 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3 are at your fingertips along with your hitch raise and lower, and 4 sits back behind it a little ways. I'd rather have it on 4, that way it's not near my front controls. I can still use 3 through 1 and be just fine. But yeah, it's on there. Couldn't be happier. Like I said, I have fought that for 5, 6 years. I don't know. I forget how long we've had this tractor. The entire time we've had this tractor, I fought that because that pin in the back end is, like I said, it's a different size. It's a bigger pin. Wouldn't fit the old top. It wouldn't fit the old adapter on the top link. So, but it's on there now, and I don't have to fight it anymore. I'm not going to have to be on and off the tractor adjusting the plow. The thing that's going to adjust is the pitch of your plow front to back. So if you want more downforce on the back end, you extend that ram out or extend the old top link out. You can level it, you can bring it pitched more forward. It all depends on how you want to run the plow, how the plow's set up. Now, this one in particular, it's going to need to be level. So, about where it's sitting right now, actually. It's pretty close to it. But, yeah. I apologize about the audio. That's on me. But, hey, top link's in there. Now I just got to finish putting the rest of the crap on, and then I'll probably be done with that planter by noon tomorrow because there's not a whole lot to go through on it. So I'm gonna get back after it. Getting everything finalized for service and getting everything ready to go for planting. I didn't film going through that, mainly because I had my dad helping me. He's kind of camera shy. He doesn't like to be filmed. But we had to fix the guide cones. I had one of the guide cones, had a bearing out on it. It has been fixed and back on there now. There's one on each side of that planter, and in theory, it holds the planter straight through the rows. We farm on batted rows, so that goes in the furrow and holds us straight. Also replaced all the internals on the Precision E-sets that are inside our metering units, the singulator, the knocker, and the 2 little brushes that are in there. So all my row units are good to go now. Now I'm down to servicing the 6175R. And this thing has thrown me for a loop. Recently, it's been throwing a code for a crankcase vent overpressure. And I couldn't figure out why, because I'm sitting there going to scratch my head going, well, that's just a blow-by tube, because I guess it stopped up, and I looked and looked and looked and couldn't find the blow-by tube. And then I talked to one of the guys at the dealership, and I realized this thing has a filter on the crankcase vent. So, had to replace the filter. It's that one right there, and it's not fun, by the way, because that tube coming out of it right there, yeah, that don't move. So you've got to take a bolt out there and a bolt out back there, drop the bottom part of the housing, and then put the filter in it. But got that done, it's back in, it's good. The other thing that's been giving me trouble, and it's been doing this for a while, and I just related it to maybe the intercooler up there that sits right there, was getting dirty. So I'd blow the intercooler out and it'd give it, it'd go away for a while. But I'm having a charge air temperature sensor code. And if you look right there, that is supposed to be connected to that. Or if I get you a little closer here, that is supposed to be there. That would most definitely explain why the charge air temp sensor is throwing codes. So, yeah. luckily my local Deere dealer, Western Equipment, they've got one in stock, and they've got it sitting on the counter with our farm name on it now. So I'm gonna go up there and pick one up here in a little bit. Yeah, currently we're looking at starting next week, probably Monday or Tuesday next week. So we're getting ready to run. We're already running the rod weeder that y'all saw me working on. Actually got my dad running it. I'm trying to get some footage of that thing running, but that'll be on the next video. That'll be when we're actually running during planting season. I'm just gonna have to be sneaky because, like I said, he's camera shy. But for now, parts run again. Yay. And that should take care of everything on this tractor, because those were the only 2 codes that it keeps popping up that I was having issues with. And like I said, the oil's changed now. The diesel filter, the fuel filter, I changed it last year, so it's good. I don't generally change it every single oil change. The oil filter, like I said, it's brand new oil. Hydraulic filter was also changed last year, so it's good for another few hours. So yeah, we're just about ready. Just got one more sensor to replace, and then blow out the radiators. We're getting there.